Hello and welcome to another weekly Supplier Diversity and Small Business Economic Impact Report. I'm your host, Jamie White, and let's go ahead and let's get started. This week is probably going to be shorter than most. I'm also trying to condense some of these. Excuse me. I want it somewhere between 5 and 10 minutes if I can get that. So this is kind of the first week where I'm going to be experimenting with that. So let me know how it goes and what you think. Excuse me once again. Just grab a snack. First off, say it one more time. The economy is slowing. Now, I know, we pretty much went through this last week, but the reason why I'm pointing this out again this week is because there has been some changes made, some interesting changes as well. To start, the Commerce Department now says the economy grew at an annual rate of 2.2% in the fourth quarter of last year. That's down from the department's original estimate of 2.6%. So for the past couple of weeks, I said that fourth quarter grew 2.6%. There has been a change in that number, and since that's important, I definitely want to talk about that. On another piece, now you probably heard for the past couple of weeks as well that I've been talking about how I haven't been able to find. So basically, the Trump administration has said that the economy grew 3.1% last year, whereas other estimates in other places I could only see 2.9%. I do want to make sure that I inform everyone that that's changed. I have now found it on the NPR. They are now quoting the 3.1% from the Trump administration instead of the 2.9%. But with that being said, the 3.1% has now been downward revised to 3% based on the new 2.2% growth rate. So what that basically means what we already know, which is the economy is slowing in terms of its growth. Thanks to the government shutdown, we are going to be expecting low numbers as well. The numbers that I've seen is somewhere in the uh, under 2%. We'll say that much. Because I've seen a variety of estimates, but under 2%. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and let's keep moving forward. The economy is growing. Democrats want to know who's benefiting. So, although the economy has dropped in terms of its growth rate, it's still growing, right? There isn't a negative growth rate as of yet. So, as you can see, it quotes again the 2.2% that has been updated. However, there is a push um, for kind of a new type of formula that is released with the GDP report that also shows income inequality and if that gap is growing. So, there's a recent Urban Institute study found that last year, 40% of American families struggled to meet at least one of their basic needs, including buying food, paying medical bills, et cetera, et cetera. But those gaps don't show up in official measurements like the GDP, which measures growth in the overall economy. What Democrats are pushing for is for the BEA to produce a new metric, the income growth indicator, to be reported quarterly and annually with GDP numbers starting in 2020 that would show who is and isn't benefiting from the economic growth. Now, I actually 100% support this. I will give the Democrats credit in this that I've never been a fan of just looking at GDP or just looking at the unemployment rate. I do think things such as participation rate matters a great deal, as well as who's getting if the GDP grows 3%, if only the top 10% are benefiting from that, then it's not really effective or as effective as we want it to be. So I 100% support this. I'm always going to support more data. In situations like this, we can understand the true impact of the economy and kind of what's going on there. Um, Although that was hit, there's obviously going to be debate in terms of what that formula looks like and what formula best articulates or shows the income gap there. So, although it's a really good idea in theory, they're still kind of debating on what that will look like. But again, I 100% support that. I think that that's an excellent idea. Next up, optimism dips, but Americans still feel economy is in good shape under Trump. This is just basically to show that the economy, although we're still having that 3%, it went from 3.1% to 3%, dropped from 2.6% to 2% in the fourth quarter of last year, and we're probably going to see a drop this quarter as well. Economy overall, people still feel good about the economy, and when it comes to things like this, optimism 100% heavily matters. So if this optimism can stay in place, then we may be able to curtail um, some some negative impacts or some negative drops that may happen in the next couple of months. Now, the question now then remains, how long is that going to happen? Not exactly sure, but as of right now, optimism is still up. Um, so that's actually a pretty good thing. Next up, and actually lastly, Linda McMahon to resign as small business administration head. And again, we don't get in politics here, but regardless, I'm dealing with small businesses. This matters because Linda McMahon was the small business head. She said that she's going to expect to step down from that role on Friday. Today is Friday, so today. So haven't seen anywhere in terms of who her replacement will be. However, again, because this is kind of the big thing, because we're dealing with small business and Linda McMahon was the head of the Small Business Administration. This is big news. Not going to go too much into kind of anything about this, but just know that there are going to be is going to be some transition when it comes to the Small Business Administration in the near future. Okay. So with that being said, this one I'm looking at the time. It's about 6 to 7 minutes. So this is your quick, if you will, Supplier Diversity and Small Business Economic Impact Report. Hope you enjoy it. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know. And with that being said, I hope everybody has a great week.